Today on the Autism Channel World News, up to $20 million from Google to help people with disabilities. We'll have details on the unusual offer, plus an immune system involvement in Rett syndrome, an autism initiative in Oman, and a follow-up to an autistic Pinoy boy who wants to stay in Australia. I'm Nancy Quinones with Tim Yancey and Carl Nubile, and this is the Autism Channel World News for Saturday, May 30th, 2015. Google is offering up to $20 million to nonprofits to address the needs of disabled people worldwide. But they're doing something different, and the way they're offering it, Tim Yancey has details. Tim?
The folks at Google are thinking outside the box again, and some of the $20 million they've already earmarked. They're giving $600,000 of it to help people who need prosthetics. But there's a unique twist. They're funding a company which connects people who need the prosthetic parts with volunteers who have access to 3D printers and know how to run them. The volunteers will not only know how to print the replacement body parts, but also know how to fit them to the bodies of the people who need them. Now, another $500,000 of the potential $20 million goes to Worldwide Hearing to develop an extremely low-cost toolkit for hearing loss using smartphone technology. The rest, and that's roughly $19 million, is up for grabs. And they're offering that to fund answers to questions that may not have even been asked yet. Now, here's how this works. They set up a website, and the address is on the screen now, where anybody can go and ask in a tweet-length 140 characters or less a question that starts with "what if?" So we did. We borrowed a big question that was one focus at the recent MFAR Autism Research Conference, went to the Google website and asked it. What if, we typed, there was an easy way, particularly in the third world countries, to diagnose autism by algorithm? Google asked us who we were, but it was optional, so we declined. But they're Google, so they probably already know, even though we didn't say. And then they thanked us, and we were done. And it's something that you can do too. And if you do, tell us about it by tweeting using our news hashtag TACWN and Google's suggested hashtag #WhatIf.
The Zubair Corporation is a major asset management company in Oman, an absolute monarchy on the Arabian Peninsula. It has launched an initiative to advise the parents of autistic children, which is thought to be the first such program in the country. Little is known about the incidence of autism there. A 2011 study indicated a prevalence of a little less than 1 in 7,000, but that study noted Oman probably had significant underdiagnosis and underreporting. When we return, news about the immune systems in children affected by Rett syndrome. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is the Autism Channel World News. I'm Nancy Quinones.
Hello, my name is Kayla, and I started an organization called Kayla Cares, the number 4 Kids. I collect and donate entertainment and educational items to children's hospitals all over the country. I've already donated to 33 medical facilities in 23 states with over 3,000 items. Hopefully you can join me in collecting and donating, and hope to see you there. My website is KaylaCares, the number 4 kids.org. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Rett syndrome, which has been reclassified in the DSM-5, the classification authority for such things, but is still a developmental disability that has a lot in common with what is still autism. Carl Nubiel has details on a new study that may answer some of the questions about the disorder. Carl?
Rett syndrome is a children's neurodevelopmental disorder that has no known cure and typically presents in a child between the ages of 6 months up to 18 months. It almost always affects girls. New research compiled by the University of Massachusetts Medical School and published in the journal Immunity shows a link to the immune system that researchers hope will eventually lead to the development of a treatment to slow its progression. Researchers found that in a Rett's patient, the immune system's hypersensitivity constantly keeps the system turned on, and eventually this same system begins to attack the body. Immune bodies are called macrophages, and they're unable to perform their normal function and end up amplifying the disease because these macrophages are hypersensitive to specific signals and end up attacking the surrounding tissues. Now, eventually this overwork wears down the macrophages and then they die off all at once. Now, unlike other forms of developmental disorders, we now know mutations in the gene encoding MECP2 causes a great part of the disorder. MECP2, through high brain concentrations, helps both the maturation of the central nervous system and synaptic formation. Vladimir Litvak, a co-author of the study, says, "We know how to modulate the immune system, and with a bone marrow transplant, we can even replace a person's entire immune system. It's unlikely that we could cure Rett syndrome without addressing the MECP2 in neurons, but this study provides evidence that by addressing the disease in the immune system, we could potentially delay the onset of symptoms."
We close with a follow-up to the story of Tyrone Sevilla. You may remember, on an earlier newscast, we showed a picture of Tyrone holding a sign that said, "Dear Mr. Dutton, can I stay in Australia, please?" We showed that picture because it went viral on social media and fueled a petition campaign on change.org. And Mr. Dutton? He's Australia's Minister for Immigration and Border Protection. He wanted to deport Tyrone and his mother Maria, who immigrated from the Philippines to study nursing. Even though Tyrone's mother Maria has now become a nurse at Townsville Hospital in North Queensland, Minister Dutton's Immigration Department was concerned that the cost of care for the nonverbal autistic Tyrone outweighed the benefits of gaining immigrant nurse Maria. But Maria's only support system consisted of her family, which had immigrated to Australia before, and her church. Australian English is the only language Tyrone has heard for almost his entire life. So faced with a petition fast approaching 150,000 signers, a social media barrage and coverage in most legacy media, Minister Dutton caved, and Tyrone's mother can stay for at least 3 more months while department sorts it all out. Sometimes at the Autism Channel, we're asked the question, how can we have a channel just about autism? The answer is, autism itself is very rarely just about autism. The story of Tyrone Sevilla is a perfect example. It isn't a story only about autism. It's also about immigration policy and political posturing over immigration in Australia and Southeast Asia. To fully understand it, one needs to know about the economic pressure autism care puts on governments, and that caring for people on the spectrum does take the proverbial village. And it's a story on Twitter and Facebook and citizen journalism, things that together are increasingly being called disruptive media, because in the end, the photo that went viral caught enough people's attention to teach all these things and change people's minds in the process. And that's just one of the many reasons why the Autism Channel can be a channel only about autism, because autism is rarely just about autism. That's the Autism Channel World News for Saturday. For our news team and everyone at the Autism Channel, join us again as we continue to unlock the wonders of autism. See you next time. I'm Nancy Quinones.